there's any gaps, brothers, fill the gaps in front of us, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi wa na'udhu billahi min shururi al-anfus wa min sayyiati al-a'mal. Man yahdihillahu subhanahu wa ta'ala fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlilhu fala hadiya lahu. Nashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu. ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا وكريمنا وسندنا وأولانا ومولانا وهادينا وطبيب قلوبنا وقرة عيننا ونور أبصارنا محمدا عبده ورسوله أرواحنا وأرواح آبائنا وأمهاتنا فداه صلى الله تبارك وتعالى عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وأزواجه وأهل بيته وعترته وأولاده وذرياته وأصحابه وأنصاره وأصحاره وأشياعه وأتباعه وأحبابه ومحبيه وأمته وعلى كل من اتبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وعلينا معهم أجمعين آمين يا رب العالمين. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: بدأ الإسلام غريبا وسيعود كما بدأ غريبا فطوبى للغرباء أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Honorable ulama ikram, respected brothers, elders, friends. One of the reasons why we collect here every week is to remind ourselves that we're going to die. And that might seem like a very simple thing, that obviously we know we're going to die. We're not immortal. We see janazas all the time. We see people passing. We know people from 100 years ago are no longer around. But such is the attraction of the dunya that we tend to think that I'm not going to die, or I'm not going to die before I hit a century. They say out of every few million, you have a centenarian, a person who lives to 100. But every person sitting here, no matter how unfit I am, I meaning we are, yeah, every single one of us sitting here thinks, I'm going to be that one. We all think, I'm going to live past 100. But whether we do or not, we are eventually going to die. When I joined Dewsbury Madrasa in 1989, Hazrat Molana Munir Sahib, Damat Barakatuhum, was in his final year, and Hafiz Sadiq Master Sahib, Rahmatullah Alayhi, was one of the khadims of Hafiz Patel Sahib, Rahmatullah, and the other khadim of Hafiz Patel Sahib was Hazrat Molana Zubair Sahib, Zubair Wauda Sahib, Damat Barakatuhum. A few days ago, I heard that Hafiz Sadiq Sahib is in hospital and Molana Zubair Sahib is also in hospital, both seriously ill. So I commented that the two khadims of Hafiz Sahib at the same time are seriously ill in hospital. And Qaddar Allah, by the decree of Allah, just before Isha Namaz, we received the very sad news that our Hafiz Sadiq Sahib has unfortunately left us and gone into the rahmat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah ta'ala grant him Jannat. May Allah ta'ala elevate his status. May Allah ta'ala accept his good deeds. And may Allah ta'ala give his loved ones sabr and patience. And how old was he? Barely 50 years old. When you're 16, if you're young, you're sitting here, you're thinking, man, that's old. But if you're as old as I am, or thereabouts, you know that, by what is 50? It's nothing. And Molana Zubair Sahib, who is in hospital, Allah ta'ala grant him shifa, he's around the same age as well. And we have seen in the past few years, so many of our friends, colleagues, family members passing away. Many of them suddenly, many of them in their youth, in their prime. And so there will come a day when we will also be gone. On occasions, every now and then, not too often, but every now and then, once a year or something, when we have a family get together, it's a special occasion, Eid, Ramzan, something like that. So I say to my family, my brothers, sisters, wife, kids, sister-in-laws, brother-in-laws, everyone, I said, this might be the last Ramzan we have together, so value it. So, some people get a bit, some of them get a bit emotional. They say, oh, Masa, we're going to miss you. I say, I'm going to miss you as well. Huh? What are you talking about? I said, I'm not just talking about me going, well, you going as well. Allah grant you barakat in your life. Allah Ta'ala grant me barakat in my life. But uske liye bhi amin kaho bhai. Allah grant me barakat in my life as well. Allah Ta'ala grant you barakat in your life as well. But jana to sabko hai. We all have to go. But unfortunately, the time that we are living in is a time where जी ऐसा लगाया जीने में मरने को मुसलमान भूल गया. We're surrounded by the dunya, and the allure and the attraction of the dunya is such that we have forgotten that we're going to die. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he prescribed for us and he advised us, visit the Qabristan often, for it will remind you of your imminent death. But you go to the Qabristan nowadays, if there's not a burial, if you go, you'll find it empty. So you think maybe it's a weekday, people are at work, I'll go on the weekend. You go on the weekend, you find one or two people there. And then you notice that the grave is fresh. The grief is fresh, that's why they're here. Otherwise, people do not visit the Qabristan. And the only time we do go to the Qabristan, illa mashallah, there are exceptions, or when we go to bury somebody. And even then, it's not an exaggeration when I say that you hear laughter in the Qabristan. You see smoke rising, somebody smoking, somebody vaping in the Qabristan. Such is our negligence and our ghaflat that we have forgotten that we're going to die, we're going to become a patch of land. And just as your name gets written on the board, and my name will be written on the board, and your name will be written on the board, and you're the talk of the town for a couple of days. Oh, he's passed away. Some people, they're like, oh, who is it? I don't know. Then people describe you and they say, oh yeah, I know him, yeah. Oh yeah, I think I know him. Then 2 weeks later, you see the guy walking down the street and you think, oops, I got the wrong guy. Yeah? So people are talking, oh, people who knew you, some people are happy, ke chalo, mar gaya mardood, chal acha hua mar gaya. And some people are sad, yeah, and some people don't know who he is, but they say, chalo. But after a few days, your name gets erased from the board. Right? And that's an analogy, your name being written on the board and being wiped out after 3 days, to the extent that there's no sign of your name left on the board. That's an analogy of your existence in this world also. That today you're around, people are talking about you, people mention you. Oh, you've got a blocked drain, call him. Oh, your car doesn't work, go to him. People are mentioning you, people talking about you nicely, some people bad-mouthing you. Yeah? But then, just as your name gets wiped from the board, and there's no trace, in the same way, after you and I go, our existence will also be wiped from the earth, and eventually our remembrance will also be wiped. That's why somebody said, you actually die twice. One is your day of death, and the other is the last time that somebody on earth remembers you. That's your second death. Because eventually, everyone who knew you will also go, and there'll be no one left to mention your name. And that's the reality of the dunya, brothers. But unfortunately, such is our negligence that we are absorbed in the dunya, and even somebody's passing away, somebody's sudden passing away, somebody's passing away in their prime, does not stir us, does not affect us. This is why, brothers, this effort of dawat and tabligh is there to take us out from our laps of luxury. Because our homes are palaces. Yeah? Who's going to remember Allah on his orthopedic mattress? Who's going to remember Allah on his leather reclining sofa? Like Ibrahim ibn Adham, he wanted to find Allah, he wanted to get close to Allah, so he's a king, he's lying on his soft bed, silken couches, and he's remembering Allah, hoping to find Allah. So Allah Ta'ala wanted to give him hidayah. So Allah Ta'ala sent an angel, and he heard the footsteps on the roof. So he said, who is it? He said, it's me. He said, what are you doing? He said, I'm looking for my camel. He said, you idiot, you can't find a camel on the roof. He said, you're the idiot, you can't find Allah on soft beds. You're not going to find Allah there. This struck his heart so much, he left everything. He wandered out. He didn't even inform people. And he went out in search of Allah. Mujahada, hardships, endurance, worshipping, fasting, until he got to a stage where he got close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Man kana lillahi kana Allahu lahu. Whoever becomes Allah's, Allah becomes his, and Allah makes all the creation subservient to him. And if we look in the lives of Sahaba Kiram, in Hayat Sahaba, you'll find Safeena radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the khadim of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who used to serve Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one time was going in the path of Allah with his companions, with his comrades, and then a storm hit, and he got shipwrecked, he got washed up on the shore, and then he walked, and he entered into a jungle, and then he saw that there's a lion there. So a person, he sees a lion. If you and I, if I was there, if I was there, just seeing the lion would finish me off. Like somebody said, Maulvi Sahib, if I'm praying namaz and the lion comes, should I finish my namaz or should I run away? But why? People ask the stupidest of questions. When is that ever going to happen? Yeah. Don't ask hypothetical questions. So Maulvi Sahib gave him an answer like that as well. He said, if your wuzu is still there, then you can carry on with your namaz. Chances are your wuzu will not be there anymore. क्या करेगा अमीर साहब? लोग भी अजीब किस्म के होते हैं. Safeena radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he was so connected to Allah, seeing a lion. He didn't get scared. He didn't freeze. He didn't have heart failure. People see a lion, a serpent, and they die just there. He didn't die. He didn't get scared. He spoke to the lion. Allahu Akbar. Because he knew the lion is a creation. And I am connected to the Creator. And everything is in the control of the Creator. And I am out in the path of the Creator to do the work of the Creator under the shade of the Creator's mercy. So the help of the Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will be with me. So all the creation will be subservient to me. So he said, Ya Abul Harith, O lion, I have been separated from my comrades, return me. He didn't say, if one of us were to talk to the lion, the most we would say is, please, don't kill me, don't eat me. There's not much meat on me, I'm not very tasty. What could he say? He didn't say, don't eat me, he said, take me. There's two riwayats. One is that the lion walked in front of him and he followed. And whenever another animal came, the lion would turn that way and roar and chase the animal away. So not only did he become his guide, he became his protector also. The other riwayat says the lion came close by, sat down, and Safeena radiallahu ta'ala anhu mounted the lion. And he rode the lion like a person rides a horse. Until the lion took him back to his camp. And then Hazrat Safeena radiallahu started to go towards the tents. Then he turned around and he saw that the lion is still sitting there, it's not moved. So Safeena radiallahu realized that the lion has been commanded by Allah to not move without my permission. So subservient is the lion to me that now without my command he's not going to move. So Safeena radiallahu had to tell the lion that, okay, now you can go. Then he turned around and he went. Because they had become people of Allah. So everything and everyone became subservient to the Sahaba Kiram. So मैं उससे पहले मैं क्या कह रहा था? हाँ, Ibrahim Adham, Jazakallah. Ibrahim Adham rahmatullah, because he just went out like that. He didn't inform anyone. Because sometimes, we have to tell people that by too many mashwaras is not a good thing. I want to go for 40 days. Let me do mashwara with my wife. Okay. Like Hafiz Patel Sahib used to say, a person stands up, listens to a fiery talk, stands up and he says, I'm ready for 4 months. I'm ready for 1 year. Comes back, then next day then he disappears. Then they have to go looking for him, torch batti lekar. When they find him, bhai, what happened? Biwi ka ek haath phira, sab dhul gaya. Wife just, please don't go, and he's gone. So sometimes taking advice from everyone is not a good thing. You take advice from the elders. This is my situation, I want to go for 4 months. Should I go? If they say yes, you go. If they say no, you don't go, but you'll still get the reward of being in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, Ibrahim ibn Adham knew that if I take counsel from my people, they're going to stop me. So he just went out in the night. So his courtiers and everyone, his ministers are looking for him. Eventually they find him many months later, and he's sitting on the edge of a river, and his clothes are torn and they've got patches in there, and he's sitting there with a needle and thread, he's patching his clothes. So they came, they hardly recognized him. They said, Hazrat, you're a king, your Royal Highness, look at your state. You've become emaciated from fasting and everything. So please come back. He said, no. They said, please, you've left a kingdom. He said, I left a kingdom, Allah gave me a better kingdom, a greater kingdom. So they didn't know, obviously, they didn't understand. So they kept on trying to persuade him. So he said, okay, how was my kingdom? They said, you're very powerful, you had us guys, you had the army, this, that, everything. So he said, okay, if I had such a great kingdom, and if you guys are so loyal to me and able to do everything for me, so you see this needle, inflict it into the river. He said, give it back to me. Wow. Give it back to me. So they're all looking at each other. So there's something we can't do. So then he made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah returned my needle. So all the fish of the lake, they came out with their heads, and all of them had a gold needle in their mouths. And then he said, no, I don't want these needles, I want my needles. So then another fish came and gave, and then he took his needle back. Then he turned to his ministers and courtiers. He said, is that kingdom good or this one better? Because he became a person of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's not to say, brothers, that, if we, inshallah, devote ourselves to deen, we'll get gold coming out of the river for us and everything. That's a wrong intention. Yeah? We do it for the sake of Allah. Allah can give us dunya if He wants to. But we have to realize that dunya is not top tier, top shelf ni'mat. This comes as news to people, especially in this era. Yeah? When I was teaching in school, I said, we were talking about something, so, I said, the guy's a millionaire. So somebody said, like you, sir, teacher, yeah? You're a millionaire like you. So I said, I'm not a millionaire, but it was a thing that I said after that, which just blew them. I said, I'm not a millionaire, alhamdulillah. Huh? What are you talking about? Huh? You say alhamdulillah, you said alhamdulillah in the wrong place, you don't say alhamdulillah for this. I said, no, I'll repeat it. Alhamdulillah, I'm not a millionaire. And may Allah never make me a millionaire. So these kids of this generation, they just couldn't get their heads around it. Took me all lesson trying to explain to them that there are bigger riches than money. I said, you have a loving, beautiful wife who's willing to do everything for you. She's better than £1 million. No. I said, you have family, you have your parents, you have your brothers, sisters, you're loving, living in harmony. I said, you can fall asleep in Talim. You can fall asleep anywhere. Yeah? I said, that's a ni'mat. No. I said, you don't know. Until you don't lose the ni'mat, then you realize. Hazrat Dawood alayhi salam, he said that good health is a crown on the head of the healthy, which only the sick can see. सेहतमंदों के सर पे एक ताज है जो सिर्फ बीमारों को नजर आता है. Allahu Akbar. Allah Ta'ala has put a crown on every one of our heads, but we don't realize. But a sick person, when he sees, he cries and he says, I wish, Masa, I could eat, I could sleep like that. Yeah. But we don't realize. So, alhamdulillah, money is a ni'mat, no doubt. But there are ni'mats greater than that, brothers. We go in tabligh to realize this. One brother, he said to me, when I first came to England, I didn't have a job. I used to come to the masjid. I used to open the masjid. I used to pray tahajjud. I used to give fajr azan. Then I'd sit and do my zikr, my tilawat. Then the imam sahab and everyone would come. Then I'd pray my fajr namaz behind the imam. Then I'd sit there, people would go, I'd sit there till ishraq. Then I'd leave, I'd lock the masjid. Same thing for Zahar, I'd give the azan and all this sort of stuff, yeah? Masa, bada maja aata tha. Bada maze ki zindagi thi. Masa gajjab nooto, yeah? So I go to him, you can still do that, I say, what changed? What changed? You can still do that. What happened? He started working. The money started coming. It started raining money, and he tasted the sweetness of money. So now, if he does pray namaz, then it's hamta kamta, last minute, trying to put the sock on his head, wondering why it's not fitting, and the topi on his thing, wondering, and he's running in. But what's happened? The dunya got you. You can still do that. You can still compromise your salary to get the benefits of the akhirat. Nobody's saying leave your job, but you can go part-time. Many people can go part-time without it affecting them. I said, you're self-employed. Why don't you shut an hour? Why? Because the money is coming. But there's ni'mats that are great. I said to somebody, I said, you get the tawfiq. You and I know that this is the truth. Although my mind might not accept it, and my heart might not accept it, but you and I know that it's the truth, absolute truth. Me getting the tawfiq to pray 2 rakats nafil namaz is better than me receiving £1 million. Yes or no? ज़बान तो कहती है, लेकिन दिल मानता है, दिल कहता है कि भाई भाई साहब 2 रकात की तौफीक भी हो जाए और £1 million भी मिल जाए तो अच्छा है ना, क्या है, क्या वांदा है? Let me pray 2 rakats, let me get £1 million, is that not a problem? But there are ni'mats greater than just money. And there are punishments greater than losing money. We have to assess our lives because we got plenty of dunya now, and we are better off, we are more comfortable than the Tudors and the past kings, the monarchs of this country. The ones that lived in the castles. They didn't have double glazing. They didn't have glass on their windows. Can you imagine how cold it must have been in those places? They didn't have flush toilets. They never had burgers. They never had gourmet burgers, pizzas, nihari, paya, masala dosa. They never had underfloor heating. You know what I mean? They never went around in a car. He was the king of England. He probably never came to Blackburn because the roads were too rough. And forget going to places like America and Dubai and everywhere. We can go off like any time. We travel better than kings. We live better than kings. We eat better than kings. Isn't it? But unfortunately, because all those ni'mats are there, we tend to think that this is the do-all and end-all of everything. Hada min fadli Rabbi. No, boy. In the hadith it says that Allah Ta'ala gives charity to His slaves every day. We give charity once in a while when we're feeling generous. Allah is so generous, He gives charity to all His slaves, Muslim as well as non-Muslims, obedient as well as disobedient. Every single person gets something from Allah every single day. Whether I acknowledge it or not, every single day I'm getting something from Allah. But the hadith goes on to say that you cannot receive a better gift from Allah. The biggest gift from Allah that a person receives is that the person gets the tawfiq to do the zikr of Allah and to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But unfortunately, for us, happiness, money. Ni'mat, money. Success, money. Sadness, loss of money, loss of profits. Calamity, loss of money. No, bhai. It's not just money, there's other things. The fact that I get the tawfiq to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to come to the house of Allah, to go out in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to do the zikr of Allah, to pray the Quran, to pray my salat, to pray my nafils, these are greater and the highest tier of ni'mats. There was a person in the time of Musa alayhi salam, he was very rebellious, a great sinner. And the system of Allah is that He doesn't always take a person to task immediately. Just as He doesn't reward a person immediately. It's not going to happen that a person prays Fajr Salat and the next morning he finds 20 pounds under his pillow. But it's not also going to happen that he doesn't pray his Salat and Allah forbid, his shop burns down to the ground. Allah Ta'ala doesn't work like that. Allah Ta'ala takes time in rewarding and also in punishing. So Musa alayhi salam used to warn this person that if you rebel against Allah, if you disobey Allah, Allah's punishment will come. So this person, now with him everything was hunky-dory fine. He had good health. He was, he had the pulling power, as they say. He had the money, he had the bling, he had popularity and everything. So he said to Musa alayhi salam one time, he said, "Oi, Musa alayhi salam, where's this punishment of Allah that you're telling me about? When's it coming? All these years I've been partying and living it up. No punishment's coming. Where's it all gone? When you go to talk to Allah, ask your Allah, when's it coming? When's the punishment coming?" So audacious and cocky he had become. Musa alayhi salam went to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he spoke to him, then at the end of it, then Musa alayhi salam posed the guy's question. That that person, the scoundrel, the rebel, he's asking that when's the punishment going to come upon him. Allah ta'ala replied, "O Musa, go tell him that my punishment arrived on his doorstep a long time ago. It's just that he hasn't realized. The fact that I deprived him from hymning my name and from prostrating in front of me and from worshipping me, that in itself is the greatest punishment." But the person doesn't realize. So respected brothers and elders, we have, before we die, an opportunity. Today, another person is being announced. Tomorrow, I will be announced. Khair kun e funa wa ghanimat shumar umar zapeshtar ke bang darayad fulan umayad. The Persian poet, he says that do some good deeds because one day the announcement will also be made for you that you are no more. And just as you are no more, the opportunity to do good is no more for you also. And everything that we have acquired, our beloved mobile phone, our game console, our house, our car, everything we will leave behind. Nothing from our possessions will we take with us, but nothing from our actions will we leave behind. فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَى وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَى. Every good, even an iota of good a person has done, is going to take it with him and he's going to see the effect of it in the hereafter. Even an iota of bad, if a person has not repented thereafter, he's going to see the effect of it. And sometimes Allah Ta'ala shows in the dunya as well. There's a buzurg called Sheikh Ka'ka Rahmatullahi. He says that my nephew was passing away one day. So I went to him, I was by his bedside and he was in a coma. So he said, I was doing zikr, making dua, and then sleep overtook me. And I saw that 4 angels came down. 2 had hideous features. People say ugly angels. Wait, don't use that term. Yeah? They were the angels of punishment. They had hideous, scary features. And 2 were very beautiful, handsome. So these were the angels of mercy. And those were the angels of punishment. The angels of mercy sat on his head side, those on his feet side. And now they started having an argument that what are you doing here? We're going to take him. He's a mu'min, he's a Muslim. We've been instructed to take him. The other angels are saying, no, he was a mu'min, but he was a sinner. Therefore, we've been instructed to take him. So the angels of mercy, they say that, okay, before you take him, let us check. And so this person, Sheikh Kaka says, I saw that the angels got up and they went and they smelt the different portions of his body. Because every good action has an effect. They smelt his hands. Why? Because with his hands, he used to do his zikr. When we go into sujood, we use our hands. They smelt his forehead. They smelt his knees. They smelt his feet. Are there effects of walking in the path of Allah? Walking to the masjid. All these have good effects. Just as bad deeds have an evil, a foul effect, which we can't see. There's a stench that comes off it. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when a person tells a lie, such a stench comes out of his mouth. Even though he may be using mouthwash and thinking, I've not got bad breath, but this is a spiritual effect. Such a bad smell comes out that the angels run for miles away from him. So the angels, they were checking him and they found nothing on him. So the angels of punishment, they said that we told you we're going to take him. Then one of the angels of mercy said, no, let me check again. I forgot to check one thing. So the sheikh, he says that I was sleeping and I saw that the angel got up, opened my nephew's mouth, took out his tongue and smelt his tongue. And then he put the tongue back in his mouth, he closed his mouth, and came back and said to the angels, you guys go, because he was once out in the path of Allah and he said, Allahu Akbar. And the fragrance, the ikhlas, the sincerity was such that the fragrance of it is still on his tongue. He's ours, we're taking him. And so Sheikh Kaka says, I saw that the two angels of punishment, they went, and these angels, they went with the soul. And when I woke up, I shook my nephew and he was no more. These are realities, brothers. Sometimes Allah Ta'ala shows in the dunya the effect of good deeds and the effect of bad deeds also. So we have to try to accumulate as many good deeds as possible, because all of this, if somebody says to me, where's your namaz? We just prayed Isha namaz. Show me your namaz. So I'll say, well, we did this, we did that. No. Show me the actual namaz that you prayed. Isha namaz. So, but it's gone. There's no form for it. It's gone. It's got up to the heavens. Inshallah, it's accepted. Well, then it's just fairy tale. There's nothing. So no. One of the elders, he gave beautiful example. He said, in the dunya, there's an analogy of amals also. You have a firework. So firework is just a cardboard tube and a stick, right, and some printed paper on it, yeah, and a string coming off it, right? But then you stick it into the ground, and then you light the fuse, and now it just travels a few 100 feet, and all of a sudden now it's traffic lights, it's colors, it's sound, it's attracting, it's illumination. Why? It just went from here up there and it's completely changed form. There's no semblance between the display of fireworks, the light and the sound and everything, and the cardboard tube. In the same way, the amal here might seem like it's just nothing, it's just up and down, touch the ground, turn around, back to town. Yeah? But no, this salat has gone up, and now this salat is going to become millions of years. One salat will become millions of years of chilling and partying in Jannat. One subhanallah, we all say subhanallah. Subhanallah, where's the subhanallah? It's gone. But that subhanallah has become a tree. Haji Abdul Wahab Sahib Rahmatullah used to say, ye na kaho ke darak lagega. Darak lag chuka. Don't say there's gonna be a tree. It's happened. You're on the farsh, you're on the ground, you're saying subhanallah. At this exact moment, a tree has sprouted up in Jannah so big that if an Arabian horse runs under its shade for 100 years, one of my friends from South Africa, he calculated how much is that? 25 miles a horse can run, a good horse, in a day, right? So then he calculated. He said, the circumference of that, the shadow of that tree will be greater than the diameter, than the circumference of Earth, planet Earth. One tree. Which is why the ulama kiram, they say that the lowest jannati will not be given a jannat 10 times the size of this earth, it will be 10 times the size of this universe. The lowest. Allahu Akbar. People say, Boss, what am I going to do there, man? All that. But don't ask that. A person, lowest jannat, will have 100 palaces. The distance between one palace and another is 100 years. Not 100 miles, 100 years. But he will stand on the balcony of one and he will be able to look into the next one. And when he will want to go from one to the other, he will call his horse with wings and he'll perch on the horse, and within seconds he'll get there. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, فَأَدْنَا أَهْلُهَا يَسِيرُ فِي مُلْكِهِ وَبَسَاتِينِهِ وَسُرُرِهِ مَسِيرَةَ أَلْفَ عَامٍ. A person will go for a leisurely stroll. Yeah? Like we go to Kopi Park. Let's just go for a walk. Yeah? We go to Avon Park. Let's go for a walk. Yeah? And we do like, a few 100 meters. Oh, I've done my exercise for today. In Jannah, a person will go for a leisurely stroll. He'll cover the distance of 1,000 or two, according to one riwayat, 2,000 years. A distance which is covered in 1,000 years, that's the distance that he'll cover just in his leisurely stroll. So imagine then how big his Jannat or her Jannat will be. 60,000 rooms in one house. Allahu Akbar. We guys have forgotten Jannat. We don't, I say to people that, if you're not attending a madrasa, a good madrasa, or if you're not going in Jamaat, yeah, then be honest with yourself. When was the last time you spoke about Jannat or you heard about Jannat? You spoke about Allah or you heard about Allah. If you're not going to a madrasa, yeah, and even there in a madrasa where they've got that kind of environment. You know, there was a girl in my madrasa class. So I used to every day give targheeb. And Friday was, they had to do bayan. Every single kid had to do a bayan, right? They had to prepare all week and give them little stuff, and then they had to do a 5-minute bayan, I think. So it used to, it used to infuse our iman. It was for me and for them, right? Then this girl, she went off and she joined a madrasa. She joined Alima class. So obviously in Alima class, I'm not criticizing the madrasa, but it's all nahwa sarf, it's all grammar and everything. So now she's engaged in that. So after a few months, I met her. So I said to her that, how's it going? She goes, yeah. I said, so how are you finding it? She goes, yeah, it's tough, but it's enjoyable. But I miss your madrasa. I said, why? She said, they don't talk about Allah. They don't talk about Allah. It's always Zaid got kicked in, Daraba Zaidun, Duriba Zaidun. Yeah? It's all about Zaid getting smashed and hammered. Yeah? They don't talk about Allah. I said, Allahu Akbar. Yeah? But if a person's in a good madrasa, along with the grammar and everything, every day the ustad or the apa is talking about Allah. In the home, they're talking about, if that environment isn't there, then a person has to be honest with themselves. When and how often am I actually talking about my actual abode, my eternal abode? And a person, if he's not connected to the effort, months go by, years go by, a person doesn't talk about Allah, doesn't hear about Allah. And if you do a survey amongst people, you'll find there are people who have not heard a full bayan in years. This is why we need to take pity on them. And it's not sufficient for us to come to the Thursday gathering on our own. We should try to encourage other people, bring them along, so that this is our spiritual food. So when we will hear about Jannat, then we'll get enticed and encouraged to go into Jannat. Otherwise, the time we're living in is all dunya, 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 bling, bling, bling. Yeah? Even the little kids are talking about money. When I get a Lamborghini, okay, do you know how hard you're going to have to? Yeah, Dad, I'm going to get a Lamborghini. Okay, yeah, big, big dreams. Yeah? And everyone's like, dunya, 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 dunya. But what about the akhirat? What effort are we making for our akhirat? Yeah? Nobody's stopping us from earning the dunya. Hazrat Maulana Umar Palampuri Sahib Rahmatullah used to say, okay, our deen does not stop us from earning the dunya. But what our deen definitely does say is, do not do it at the expense of your akhirat. So, I used to teach in schools, in madrasas. I meet my ex-pupils now, and recently I met two, and I asked them, one of them, mashallah, he's a qualified doctor. I was so happy. He said, sir, you were proper strict and hard on me, man. I don't know why you used to do all that. I said, well, come on. You are where you are. Because of that, I said, if I was soft on you, you won't be here. He said, yeah, you got a point there. Yeah? Another one I met, just within, I think, 2 days, another one I met, mashallah, yeah, what are you doing? He said, I'm becoming a doctor. I said, mashallah, you've excelled me. So the advancement and progression of Muslims is a great thing. Our deen encourages that. Hafiz Patel Sahib used to say, we should be first in our studies and first in our deen also. But if a person is advancing in their career, in their field, in their studies, but if it is at the expense of your deen, then you're losing. Akbar Ilhabadi Rahmatullah used to say, मुसलमान ने जो तरक्की की गैर होकर, डॉक्टर साहब, मुसलमान ने जो तरक्की की गैर होकर, ये गैरों की तरक्की है, मुसलमान की नहीं. ये गैरों की तरक्की है, मुसलमान की नहीं. You progressed, you become head of your department, you become a neurosurgeon, whatever. But if along the way you've lost your iman and you're not praying your salat and you've lost your deen, then you have not progressed. Your deen has not progressed. We have a responsibility to give a good name to our deen. So education is encouraged. And we say by work, I say to people who are newly joining the workforce, I say to them, I said, you shouldn't aim to be employee of the month and get your picture up on the notice board. I said, no, as Muslims, we should aim to be the employee of all time. That I'm a Muslim, I'm trustworthy, I'm hardworking, I'm not a sloucher, I don't skive off and stuff like that. I work so hard that when I am leaving, they're begging me to stay. And they're calling me back. That's what a Muslim is. That's representation of Islam. But in acquiring our dunya, in tijarat as well, fazail tijarat, we have these kitabs, fazail amal, in that there's fazail namaz, fazail zikr, fazail, all these kitabs. So Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah wrote other fazail kitabs as well. There's a fazail tijarat, wo bhi padhne ke qabil hai. Yeah? The virtues of business. There's a hadith on it. At-tajirul aminu saduq ma'an nabiyyin wa siddiqin wa shuhada wa salihin. A trustworthy, an honest businessman. On the day of judgment, where will he be? He was doing business. But he was doing it according to the commands of Allah, blessed ways of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. On the day of judgment, Allahu Akbar, how beautiful is our deen. Who will he be resurrected with? The prophets. Allahu Akbar. He's a businessman, but he will be with the prophets and the siddiqeen on the day of judgment, and the salihin. This is the beauty of our deen. So deen does not stop us from, expanding our business and from climbing the career ladder and trying to excel in our fields. Yeah? 1,001 Inventions, the book is still available. When I was teaching here, they had the exhibition in the Science and Industry, Manchester Science and Industry Museum. They call it 1,001 Inventions. It was contribution of Muslims to the world. And they call it 1,001 because they said quite literally Muslims have given over 1,000 things to the world. And you know why that was? Why did Muslims invent all these things? And they trace back, they say the camera, the phone, everything, the computer, everything can be traced back to the progression of the Muslims. If it was not for the Muslims, we would not have our smartphones and all that today. But why was that? Because the Muslims were excelling in their field of deen. Allah Ta'ala was opening up their minds and they were excelling in their dunya. Today we're just going for the dunya and we're hitting writer's block all the time. Yeah? And we're not progressing in our deen or our dunya. So Molana Umar Sahib, I'll end with this example very quickly. Molana Umar Sahib Rahmatullah used to say, our deen does not stop us from earning the dunya. What our deen does say is, do not do it at the expense of your akhirat. Because if you are earning your dunya, your money, your bling, your wealth at the expense of your akhirat, and you're sacrificing your salat, you're striving out in the path of Allah, your 3 days, your 40 days, your masjid, in order to acquire that wealth, then you're not making a profit, you're making a loss. So Maulana gave a very beautiful example, the analogies and the examples of our elders, Allahu Akbar. You can't match them because they stay awake thinking, Ya Allah, how can we project this message to the ummah? So he said that there was this guy, a rich guy, who was sitting at home one day and a Sunday afternoon, and his wife and his daughters have gone out. So he's just him and his young 8-year-old son. So there's a knock on the door Sunday afternoon. So he goes to open the door, and this guy, this rich guy, his mates have come unannounced. So he's, mashallah, mashallah, and he calls them in, What are you doing? And no, come in. Right? So the Millionaires Club has come together. Right? So now the guy, he's happy, mashallah, it's so nice for you to come and all this sort of stuff. But he's also a bit anxious. So the son, at that age, kids are eager to please their parents. It's when they get to year 9 that they go a bit doolally. Yeah? But So at that age, they're eager to impress their parents. So the son, he read his dad's face. And he knew that my dad is a bit anxious because mom's gone out, sisters have gone out. So who's going to make the chai and bring the nan khatai and the makhariyas and everything? So the son, he steps up and he goes, Dad, if you say, I'll make tea for the guests. So Dad's like, whoa. He didn't even remember that he had this son. He goes, oh yeah, mashallah. Yeah, go. And the guys, his friends are really impressed as well. Mashallah, you've trained him well, haven't you? Oh, well done. And now this guy is like blowing up, getting that happy. So they're sitting around having their cigars, having a chat and everything. The son goes off to make tea. Takes him time, but after about half an hour, he comes with the best trays and the cups and all that, and nice cutlery, and he comes with beautiful tea and the nan khatas, everything laid out properly like his mum does it. And they all sit down and they're like, whoa, well done, you've trained him well, you're really good. And then they start sipping the tea. Now this tea wasn't tea, this was chai, doodh patti, Indian tea, Pakistani tea, kind of thing, So, with our English tea, it's easy, You just put the tea bag in the cup and boil the kettle, throw it and put a bit of splash of milk and that's it. You're good to go. But with the Asian chai, doodh patti, everyone's got a technique. And in Jamaat, you have to lock the kitchen door when you go to make the tea, because there's always some guy that goes, no, Masab, you're doing it wrong. You put the milk in the water, not the water in the milk, and this and that. Oh, come on, leave it out, mate. Yeah, everyone's got their own technique. Yeah. Anyway, so the guy, they start drinking the tea, and the tea is really nice. Yeah? So now one of them goes, Beta, how did you make the tea? Now that question in our culture means, what's your technique? Yeah, you put the milk in the water or the water in the milk, all that. Yeah, that's what he meant. Simple question. The kid's a simpleton. Usne jaisa tha waisa keh diya. He just said his life story as it was. He said, well, when you guys came and I saw that my dad was a bit anxious because my mum's out and there's no one to make the tea. Then I remembered I've seen my mum make tea. So I said to my dad, come on, Dad, shall I make tea for you? So I went and I got the tea saucepan and I filled it up with water and I got the tea and all this sort of stuff. I got it all ready. Yeah? And then I turned the gas on. So this is an old story example from a bit far back. So he goes that when the water was heating up, then the gas went out. So I realized that the gas canister, empty, batla, khali. So he said, then I panicked. Right? Now I can't go to Dad, who's a millionaire, saying, no, there's no gas in the house. Yeah? There's going to be basically in front of the gas. So then I remember that my mom, sometimes when there's no gas, she burns sticks and logs. So then I went to the log shed and it was empty. So then I remembered she's got a box of kindling, of sticks and stuff. So I opened that, but there was only one twig in there. So I thought, what do I do now? Then I remembered that in science we learned that paper, it burns well. So I went looking for paper in the house. So I couldn't find anything. I went looking for newspaper, couldn't find anything. Went all over the house, nothing. But then, Dad, that room of yours that you always keep locked and you don't let anyone go inside and you keep the key around your neck, and Mum can't go inside as well. And every Sunday afternoon you go in there and you lock the door and you come out dead happy. Yeah? And that's his office, yeah? And so today, I think you forgot to lock it because the guest came unexpected. So because I went in there, and that metal cupboard of yours that you got double keys for, yeah, that I've never seen inside, that was open. And inside there were stacks and stacks of paper. So I took a few bundles and I burnt them and I made the tea. And everyone was like, whoa, most expensive tea in the world. Is a chai wale se bhi aagar phar gaye. No offense to chai wale. Everyone's like, whoa. And the dad, now he's going ballistic. He's beating the son up. Yeah. And guests as well, they throw in a few kicks in as well. And they're abusing nalaik, fantus kahin ka, gada and all this sort of stuff. So the kid, he starts crying. And he goes, I don't understand you adults. First you tell me to make tea. When I make tea, you praise it and you say it's really good. And then when I tell you how I made it, then you all go ballistic and start beating me up. Am I not supposed to make tea? So the father, he's crying as well as he's beating him up. He's crying. So he's crying and he goes, Beta, nobody's stopping you from making tea. But Allah ke waste, don't make tea at this expense. The most expensive tea in the world. You've cost me a fortune. Right? So Molana used to give this example. And then he used to say in the same way, Deen does not stop us, does not prevent us from earning our dunya, but Allah waste, for the sake of Allah, don't do it at the expense of your deen, of our akhirat. If my business is expanding, mashallah, I've not missed 40 days for years, but now, mashallah, business has expanded, so now I'll just go for 14 days. And when people ask me, I'll say quickly, are you here for 40 days? Yeah, I'm here 14 days. Oh, mashallah. So people think I'm 40 days, but it's just 40 days, 14 days. I'll just spend 10 days with the youngsters. I'll do daftari, whatever that is, yeah, in and out. Yeah, bhai, I'm just kidding myself, bhai. You're getting on now. You should be increasing your qurbani because you're getting closer to death. This is why we all have a responsibility, brothers. We're all going to leave this world. Nothing of the world is going to come with us, but our amal will come. We have to earn our akhirat, but not, we have to earn our dunya as well, but not at the expense of our akhirat. And we've got to earn our akhirat as much as possible and try to become millionaires in the hereafter. For that we have this blessed path, and for that we strive out in the path of Allah. So brothers, give intentions for 4 months to strive out in the path of Allah, to learn this effort, to reprogram ourselves, to take the love of mal and wealth out of our hearts, and to bring the love of amal into our hearts, of good actions into our hearts, to take out the love and the attachment of the dunya from our hearts, and to bring the attachment of the akhirat into our hearts. The Sahaba Kiram, when they would know, when they were told that they're going to die, they used to be so happy, they would be in a state of ecstasy, because they know that we're going to meet our Lord, we're going to cash in on all our efforts, we're going to now live it up forever and ever. So we have to become people of Akhirat. For that, brothers, make intention, inshallah.
MashaAllah. First, give your intention for follow.